What is up, everybody? How is everybody doing? Welcome to our first, I think, movie makeup Monday. No music video this week. This week is going to be movies all through the end of October. If you missed it, this past Friday we did Elvira, and today we are doing Cruella Deville. Should be a very fun look. It's a very cute movie. Altogether, all the movies have been really cute. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the character, a little bit about the movies, all of that while creating her very iconic look. All the products that I use are going to be linked down below, as well as my outfit. So if you are looking to recreate this look in its entirety, you should be able to. The very first step that I wanted to do today was my eyebrows. I am going to draw them in. So I did get my glue stick. I'm going to go ahead and push my brows up all the way. Let them dry in place, kind of air it out, do that whole thing, and then I'll be right back once they have been dried and stuck in the upward position. So after you go ahead and you bring your eyebrows kind of straight up, you want to make sure that the glue is only around your eyebrows. So I'm just gonna kind of use a makeup wipe and go around because I don't want to get that like nasty cracking sort of thing going on. It's a pain in the butt doing this sometimes. I've been working on experimenting with this a little bit more. It's a little tough, but we're trying. We are trying. So Miss Cruella Deville. The version that we're going to be creating today is not going to be Glenn Close. It's not going to be Emma Stone. Today we're going to be doing the 1961 version of Cruella. This one was the first one that I personally, found out about, watched. When I found out that this film was actually in 1961, I was pretty shocked. Just because it was one of those favorites growing up, and I just didn't realize that it was that old. Like, that's a 60-year-old movie at this point. I don't know, it blew my mind. I also got this color today, really quick. Hopefully this matches. It's brand new, Makeup Forever. Let's see. The name Cruella Deville is actually a pun on two words, which I thought was pretty expected. It is cruel and devil. It has also been said that it has been a play on other words as well, but this one was kind of the very first thing that kind of everybody, could see. The Cruella Deville and the 101 Dalmatians actually started as a book, which I'm sure a lot of you guys would expect, and eventually was made into the films that we have today. The production of this particular film, the 1961 version, came after the creation of Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty did not do very well when it comes to the charts and the numbers, and Disney was kind of considering at that time frame kind of just quitting the studio, just closing that particular part of the studio down, just because they felt as though they weren't getting, what they wanted. There wasn't financial stuff coming in. But of course, they prevailed, and they had a nice group of people who were just like, no, we're gonna make it happen. We are going to make it happen. You know what I just noticed? I didn't put my powder on my brows first, and I put the cream on top of that. So stupid. In that time frame, they were also experimenting with a different form of animation, and that was using a Xerox. At the time, they had first experimented with using the Xerox in Sleeping Beauty, and in Sleeping Beauty, they used it during the forest scene. The first full movie that was used with that form of animation was a movie called Goliath 2. It was said that this form of animation was very helpful. It was kind of like you could draw, and it would kind of put the drawings in cells, and it was just easier all in all for animation purposes. They did end up using it for this film, not in its entirety, but for a lot of parts of it. And a lot of the people who were part of the production said that honestly it was a lifesaver using this technique, because they wouldn't have been able to finish the film in time, or really in a timely manner, period, had they not have been able to use this technique. They also would have paid a lot more money to to make this film if they didn't use this technique, especially considering that the Dalmatians had their like spots, obviously. The spots would have been a pain in the butt, basically, to do in the way that they were doing it before they had this technology. It was said that Walt, which when they said Walt, there was also a guy who worked with the animation called Walt, but I'm assuming they were talking about Mr. Disney in my research, but it was either Walt, the designer, or Walt Disney himself did not like this style. And when they asked to use this style of work, when this guy Walt was just like, yeah, you know, like you can do it, but like go have fun with it, but like we ain't ever gonna use this in a film. Like it goes against basically everything that we do here at Disney. To the point where one of the directors, one of the animation directors, was kind of told like, yeah, you're never gonna be an animation director because of your poor choices. Eventually though, you'll hear that the film ended up doing a really good job. It did come out to be a really well done film altogether, and people kind of came back around and were like, yeah, actually, like, you know, you did a good job. You'll probably stay as an art director. So, you know, sometimes people have visions and people try to execute them and people just don't want to believe in it. I don't even know. I don't know how to even describe that. I'm going to really quick attempt to draw some eyebrows, so please bear with me. When it comes to doing your eyebrows, it is a very tricky thing to do. Work very slowly. I was trying to do the pencil thin look and having it a little bit higher to seem a little bit more dramatic. So definitely please do take your time with it. Use whatever color you think works best for you. I'm using the Tattoo Studio Maybelline, I think it's called like Wet Brow Pomade, deep brown color. And like I said, we're trying to go for that really 20s vibe with our shape. I think this should basically be enough. It's a little bit uneven. Usually it is just a little bit, but it's okay. We're gonna make it work. From here, we're gonna jump into the eyes really quick. I am going to go ahead and use some eyeshadow primer. And with the primer, I'm just going to add it all over my lid for the most part, maybe a little bit up into my brow, but not too crazy because I don't want to mess it up. So when it comes to Cruella, right now we're going to start talking about the movie itself. Like I said, there are a lot of movies in the Cruella space. But today we are talking about the 61 version. And in the 61 version, a woman by the name of Betty Lou Garrison was the voice of Cruella. She was a very iconic voice for this role, and she actually was the narrator in Cinderella as well. So she already kind of had an upper hand, and they were kind of already aware of her work style, and they decided to go with her after she auditioned for the role. While she was in the process of trying to figure out how to really voice over this character, she kind of ended up landing on a voice that sounded a bit like, kind of like a girl who set sail for New York, got to New York, and was trying to get to England. That was kind of the vision that they were kind of going with. She did take some inspiration from Tallulah Bankhead whenever she was kind of coming up with her voices. The actual girl who voiced her, Miss Betty, she actually was from Alabama, so it was kind of an interesting way of coming up with these voices, essentially. When it comes to Cruella's shape, design, style, it was said that her lanky physical design came from a model by the name of Mary Wicks, I don't know how to say it. And she was kind of her live action model where they got the inspo from. In the film itself, they did cut out a few key characters, one being her pet cat that was showcased in the actual book, and then they also cut out her husband in this particular film. In the film, she also has a very distinct automobile, which was colored red and black, that resembled kind of the Mercedes-Benz 500K Cabriolet. While we're doing these eyes, and we kind of created this rounded shape, let's go ahead now and put some color underneath our eyes as well, give it that green flare. And then now we're gonna go in with some white on top, just to kind of open up that brow a little bit. We want to kind of give it a little bit of a pop, just a little bit. If you wanted to do white first, you are more than welcome to. I just decided to do this a little bit late in the game. When it comes to Cruella as a character, you know, obviously she was something else. After rereading and doing a little bit more research on this today, I really found it kind of crazy that this was even a Disney film in the first place. When you think about the idea that they had, it was basically a woman who, you know, really likes black and white fur. She's someone who is very self-centered. She's kind of like an heiress type and just is overall like, she wants money, she's greedy, she's like this whole vibe, and she likes the black and white print of things. And with that black and white print, she finds some Dalmatians and she wants them. She wants these Dalmatians so bad. Not a bad thing, but it's like a weird thing. Why does she want the Dalmatians? And in this film, she comes across Anita and her husband, and she sees that they have these pups and she's obsessed with them, and she wants, you know, basically to purchase them, and kind of follows around like the pregnant dog and is like, okay, like the dog's pregnant, I'm gonna get the puppies. When the puppies come out and they are all white. And Anita's like, oh no, have no fear, like they're gonna come out with some spots, it's just when they're born, they usually are all white. And Miss Cruella becomes obsessed and is like, okay, great, I can make these dogs into fur coats for myself. And that's what I'm saying when I say like it's a little bit odd that they would even make a film like this, because I just can't imagine making a film nowadays, even though they just kind of did. I haven't watched it yet, but you know, it's like I don't know, like someone's so obsessed that they'll like skin dogs for some fur. It's a little odd. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But that's basically the premise. And then from there she goes and she steals the dogs from Anita. Dogs escape, you know, the whole shebang. If you haven't watched it, you definitely should, because it's a very cute film. But she really is a bad person, you know, in the film. She's a pretty bad person overall. In 2002, Forbes went ahead and named Miss Cruella Deville 13th most wealthy fictional characters. She has also been rated the 39th greatest villains of our time. And then in Disney's Ultimate Villain Countdown, she is ranked number 6 in the most villainous. All in all, the film did pretty well. It was released in January 25th, 1961, and was reissued a few more times after that. One of those times was in 1991, and that was what, 30 years later? Yeah. It was reissued 30 years later in 1991, and it was the 20th highest grossing films at the time. In its initial drop in 1961, it grossed about $14 million in both Canada and the United States. It was also one of the most popular films in France that year. During its 4th release, which was, like I said, in 1991, it grossed $60.8 million, so definitely a lot more. And I mean, given that there's certain inflations that went on as well, of course it's gonna be a little bit more, given the time and circumstance. In its lifetime, it has also grossed $140 million. And in total, worldwide, it has grossed $303 million. Besides just like financials and stuff, overall when it was released, it also just did, in general, really, really well. A lot of people loved the film. They thought it was super cute, super well done, all of that. So I always find that funny, and you've seen that, I'm sure, a few times on this channel, where it's, you know, these people will think like, no, we can't do it, it ain't gonna be that great, and then it turns out being amazing. Now, on the contrary, I'm sure that there are a lot of other films that aren't produced or that are produced, and then they think they're gonna do great, and then they don't, so I do get it. But especially like with this one, where Walt was just kind of like, yeah, no, like, we shouldn't do this because of X, Y, Z, I don't like the style, it's not very Disney, and then it going on to do as well as it did. kudos. All right, my friends, and this basically sums up the look for the most part. Like I said, it is a very fun look. The eyebrows, I'm actually not too mad at them looking at the way that it looks. I'm gonna go ahead and take this off, put on some gloves, and give you the full Cruella vibes. And this, my friends, sums up our look for today. Overall, it is a very, very, very fun look to recreate. If you can get the eyebrows to be in shape, the rest is pretty easy. Basically regular skin sort of style, regular lips. Just get that nice little arch. And darling, you are Miss Cruella Deville. Like I did say, everything that we use today is gonna be linked down below, along with this wig, my little cigar here, my little gloves, my dress, all of that. So if you want to become Cruella for this Halloween, everything will be there for you. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you guys had fun. And we'll see you guys on Friday with another movie makeup look for this month. It is a fun month, and if you have anybody else that you want to see from me, please let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to see who we end up doing. Thank you guys so much again, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See ya, darling.